So it looks like Apple is finally willing to open up, but what could this mean for the future of other stores and other gaming stores on iOS? So there have been ongoing legal battles between Apple, Epic when it comes to Fortnite, and allowing people to make transactions in Fortnite via the Fortnite app, where Apple didn't want that because they would be losing out on certain revenues from those people who made those transactions rather than going through the Apple's App Store where they get a cut of all of those revenues. We've seen Xbox fight with Apple over Xbox Game Pass, having to do the workaround of the browser because Apple wanted to be able to check every single game within the Xbox Game Pass app. So they couldn't just put the Game Pass app on Apple's App Store. They would have had to have put every single Game Pass game separately on the App Store so Apple could verify. Just craziness that obviously as Xbox, as Microsoft, you aren't going to do. Now it looks like because of upcoming EU regulations, Apple is reportedly going to be allowing third-party app stores and sideloading on iOS. So this comes via a report from Bloomberg that's saying that Apple will now be able to make a change to conform to stricter EU regulations introduced in its new Digital Markets Act law, which requires tech companies to comply by 2024. It says users must be allowed to install third-party apps and change default settings easily, and that outside developers must get equal access to core features within apps and services. iPhone, iPad users are now going to be able to download new app resources other than from the App Store, or sideload iOS apps that aren't on the store without the need to jailbreak their device. And that can be beneficial in multiple different ways if you're somebody who wants to potentially sideload an Xbox Game Pass app on there. Maybe Xbox, Microsoft are going to come out and now be able to make that native app that's going to be able to work on Apple devices, which would be huge for expanding their reach for that service. We also know Xbox has come out, Phil Spencer has come out wanting to break up the Apple Store and the Google Play Store as the main players within mobile. This is one of the reasons why they are trying to purchase Activision Blizzard, is to get more into the mobile space and potentially release their own app store for games for Xbox. So all of the stuff is going to be bringing more choice to consumers, and this is one of the main things why I stay away from Apple. Why I don't like Apple. I do not use an iPhone. I always have used Android, and it is because of the fact that it's just such a closed ecosystem. I want to be able to add things on my phone that I want to add. Like, I don't want to have to be stuck to whatever Apple is making me use. Another reason why I like Xbox a lot right now is you can open that console up and add so many different things to it in the developer mode, add the emulators, all that type of stuff, where Apple doesn't allow you to do that, but it looks like they are now changing because of this EU regulation, which goes to show that the EU, these regulators at times can do great things for these products, for these services, whereas we are looking kind of what is going on with Xbox and the acquisition stuff and the My PlayStation guy and making them all out to be these evil people. But at the same time, when they do stuff like this, I think this is a great thing for consumers, giving more choice of what they want to have on the devices that they have purchased. And Apple has been against this. I mean, you can see here, it says Apple has been lobbying against the new law for some time now, arguing that allowing third-party app stores and side loading of apps could introduce security issues and place unsafe apps on users' phones. Well, at the end of the day, what this tells me is that they just don't think that the users are smart enough to be able to not load apps that are going to hurt their devices. And I mean, some people are going to do this. This is just inevitable. When you give people choice, some people do things that probably aren't the best for the devices that they have, but I would much rather have that freedom to make that choice as to whether I want to take that risk of inputting an app on my phone that potentially could be a virus, rather than have it be totally just taken away from me with that closed ecosystem. And then the other big thing here, which is huge, which is why Apple is probably against this the most, is that a lot of these companies can now theoretically release apps to different stores other than the App Store, which would get rid of that 30% commission that Apple takes from the App Store via the purchases. I mean, Fortnite is the main example, which we saw with the Apple versus Epic Games lawsuit. So I think this is great news. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see what this means for the future. Does this mean going forward now too, Xbox is going to look at this regulation, see that Apple has to make these adjustments, and then be able to release a Game Pass native app on Apple devices that you would sideload onto the device? Probably won't be able to get that through the App Store itself. I think this may mean that also if Xbox wants to just release their own App Store in general for Xbox games, you're probably going to be able to now get this stuff on iOS devices. But that's it for me, guys. What are your thoughts on this? Do you use Apple? Do you use Android? Are you happy to see this happening? Are you going to be more interested in Apple now if you weren't previously, if you can sideload other apps and app stores on to those devices? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.